Dear Diary, it was a regular day like every other, and I, Anastasia, was flying through the forest. I stopped by a pond and looked at my reflection. I felt a pang of sadness. It is not often that I am reminded of how physically hideous I can be. My white hair was tangled in knots like a rat's dirty tail. At least it covered my wrinkled face. But then again, when you live away from civilization as long as I have, looks don't really matter. You actually come to admire your unique features. And so as I basked in the reflection of my ugliness, I was interrupted by heavy footsteps walking on dried leaves. Wherefore art thou? I chuckled, for I assumed it was my beloved friend, the giant raccoon that also roams the forest. Good evening, said a voice. I was surprised to see a human standing before me. What do you want? I snapped, for I was very wary of humans entering my forest. Oh, Anastasia, I've come to warn you, he replied. How do you know my name? I growled. I know everything about you. After all, I am a bounty hunter, declared the human with great pride. Then what could you possibly have to do here? Civilization is 100 miles south. That's where all the trouble is, I said. Oh no, my darling Anastasia. I've come to warn you. You see, there is a dangerous predator on the loose that targets beautiful creatures such as yourself, he explained. I was taken back by his words, and I must admit, my darling diary, I was secretly flattered. I never in my life had heard the word beautiful to describe me. Anastasia, my sweet, I know you always roam the forest. You must report any sinister happenings to me. From now on, you shall be my eyes and ears, whispered the bounty hunter. And with that he left. However, his words kept playing in my head. From now on, you shall be my eyes and ears. From now on, you shall be my eyes and ears. And so all day I repeated those precious words. I felt a most unusual sensation overcome my entire soul. I, Anastasia, felt special. My presence served a purpose in someone else's life. Not that I was dependent upon human flattery, but there was something about this human that struck me as interesting. Maybe it was his Roman nose, or perhaps it was something more. Days passed, and I would always notice the bounty hunter at the brink of the forest's edge, always watching me. I wonder what he was thinking. Was he scheming? I locked eyes with him once. To my surprise, it was not just an inquisitive gaze that emanated from his eyes. You see, my darling diary, should I dare say, but his eyes were gleaming with lust. This reaction towards me was puzzling and only confused me even more. But I did my best to pretend not to notice him, for I did not want my daily activities to be disturbed on account of a human. But oh, my darling diary, I am ashamed to say, but his face was imprinted in my brain. One day, I discovered some odd-shaped apples on a tree. I stopped in flight and explored this exotic tree. Out of nowhere, a dark creature suddenly jumped on me. I felt a most unimaginable pain on my back, almost as if 10,000 volts of electricity was passing through my body. This instantly reminded me of my days in captivity when I was forced to undergo electric shock therapy. But now, in this present moment, something just as worse was happening. I was being attacked by the predator on the loose. I screamed, but not a soul could hear me. Right now, it was just me alone in battle. Determined not to lose the war that could potentially traumatize me for life, I mustered all the strength within me and pushed the attacker off me. I grabbed a stick with a jagged edge and plunged it into my attacker. Down went the predator. "You should not have bothered Anastasia," I shouted. I kept stabbing the predator. The action of stabbing might be particularly gruesome to many, but to me, this was very invigorating. I felt alive, and I believe this was the highest high possible. Finally, the predator was motionless. Suddenly, the bounty hunter appeared out of nowhere. "Where were you when I needed you?" I shouted. "Don't worry, my darling. I am here now," he cleverly answered. "Let me take the predator off your hands now, especially since there is a huge reward out for him." "But I'm the one who captured this predator. I could have been killed," I exclaimed. "You, my darling, were my bait," he laughed. And with that, the bounty hunter struck my face with the wooden stick. I fell into the mud, but each time I attempted to get up, he would strike me again. I was at this point too weak, for my energy had already been sapped by fending off the initial predator. Little did I know that there were actually 2 predators on the loose. "Why are you attacking me? Am I not an important presence in your life?" I pleaded. "You are, my dear. You are my eyes and ears. And now I can collect this reward," he chuckled. "But I deserve it," I shouted. "What for?" he growled and struck me down again. "All these bruises you inflict on me make me ugly," I whispered. "What difference would it make? You, Anastasia, are already ugly," laughed the bounty hunter. And with that, the bounty hunter took his prize and walked away. The forest was now unusually quiet. And so as I lay in the tranquility of my own blood, it was then that I realized that in life you may hope that someone is there for you. But when you break, you are always alone. Anastasia.
Draußen in die Seiten reiß ich, weiß nicht, wo ich abends ruh. Manche Schöne macht wohl Augen meinet, ich gefiel ihr sehr, wenn ich nur was wollte taugen, so ein armer Lump nicht wär.